Social and the creator of SmartPin Pro, a program that helps you build an organic Pinterest traffic machine using Pinterest, using content, using your shop, all those great things. So um, today I got this question in my inbox the other day. What if I stopped using Pinterest altogether? So I'm going to read this question so I can put this in some context for you guys. I love questions like this. So here's a question. With so much chatter and evidence that older pins are still producing a bulk of traffic, what would happen if I just stopped using Pinterest altogether? I realize you don't have a crystal ball, but would my traffic bottom out, or would existing pins still produce the existing level of traffic? And this is what is happening a lot in the blogger community, is this idea that there's old pins, right? Pins that are more than a year old, more than a couple years old, that are sending the bulk of the traffic. So if they're sending the traffic, if you just walked away from Pinterest, would it just kind of sustain itself? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Normally I have like a little story in here to illustrate things, and I couldn't think of one. I had a weird one about like McDonald's hamburgers that my daughter did the science experiment with, but I didn't think that it fits. So I'm just going to jump right into the meat of it on this live for you. And I'm trying to keep it short and sweet as possible. So here's the thing that happens with old pins. They do eventually get taken out of the rotation. And how do I know this? Because it's happened to me. It's happened to people that I know. I had some pins that were sending me lots and lots of traffic, and now they're not showing up in my analytics. And so I'll tell you why this is happening. But you can't just like set it and forget it like Rompapil. You can't just, it's not a rotisserie chicken. Like you don't set it and forget it when it comes to Pinterest. So let's first talk about these old pins and why they are successful at sending you traffic on Pinterest. So the first thing is that the older a pin is, right, the longer a pin has been on Pinterest, the more people Pinterest has served it to, the more data Pinterest has been able to collect about what audience is going to be most responsive to that pin. So as Pinterest shows the pin to people, it collects data and says, oh, these people responded this way. These people responded maybe a little less favorably. And it continues to refine who the best audience is that's going to be most responsive to that pin, because Pinterest is all about user engagement, right? They want to make sure that people have a really, really good experience on the platform. And so they want to make sure people are engaging with the pin. So it's going to collect data. So obviously a pin that's 5, 6, 7 years old, Pinterest has a lot more data on that than the pin you pinned yesterday. Right. And so that's why I've heard all kinds of different quotes for like, how long does it take Pinterest to index a pin? You put it on there, like some people say 30 days, some say 90 days, some say 4 months. The thing that we're not going to know the answer. And even if we did, what would we do with that information? Right. I don't know that we do anything different. We're going to optimize the pin. We're going to put it on there. We're going to build it the best way that we can so that it'll perform. We're not going to do anything different if we had that information. What's important for us to know is that the longer a pin is on Pinterest, the more data Pinterest has about who it's going to perform for, about which keyword searches it's going to perform best for. So obviously old pins are going to perform better. Old pins are going to perform better because there's just so much more data for Pinterest to use as far as who it's going to serve that pin to, for which searches, for which keywords, for which interests it's going to serve that pin up. And so the proven performers for the audience, Pinterest is going to keep showing those things, right? If it's a proven performer. So that's why it's like, oh, only old pins are getting traffic. No, not all of your old pins are getting traffic, right? Only the ones that are proven performers. So let's talk about why sometimes those old pins get removed from the rotation. So they may have less engagement. It might be something where it's a term that's not popular anymore. And so there's just not people to serve it up to. It could be dated information. And this is really true when it comes to the blog post. There might be old information, dated information. It might be out of date. It might be just a poorly written post that, we kind of slide by with in 2014, but now we need to have our posts written in a much better way, need to be easier to navigate, that kind of thing. Also, one thing that I've noticed happening is copyright claims, and these could be valid or not. So we actually had a member in our program talk about a Canva Pro image that they had as a pin got taken down. on Pinterest. And so those old pins, it's not guaranteed it's going to stay there forever. If there's some kind of copyright claim on it, whether it's valid or not, that pin may be taken out of the rotation. So you can't just bank on like, well, my old pins are sending me, 100,000 page views a month. I'll just wash my hands of Pinterest and just keep getting those 100,000. It's not going to stay solid like that. And then these are just some reasons. There's probably more reasons, right? Because we're not privy to the inner workings of what's happening at Pinterest. So these are just some reasons why old pins might be taken out of the rotation. And here's the thing, like if you take your eye off of your Pinterest account, you're not going to be able to make any adjustments. You're only going to notice that things are wrong when things are very wrong. And it's going to take time to turn it around and get momentum going again. So you don't want to just say, oh, I'm going to wash my hands of it and not work on it. If you've got an account and you've got some momentum, you want to keep going with that. If you're new, the best time to put pins up is now, right? Because those pins are going to age over time. If you're not on there, you're not going to be able to create new old pins, right? We put the pin on today. In a year from now, that pin Pinterest has a lot more data on that pin and how it's going to perform. But if you're not putting pins out, Pinterest doesn't have a way to get that clock ticking, right? It's just like any platform. You just say, I'm not going to show up on it anymore. And the thing with Pinterest is like, yeah, because pins live on forever unless they're removed. Pinterest will keep showing them to people, but there's things that can happen, right? There's things that can happen. So I wouldn't just bank on that. Like in 5 years from now, there's going to be other people with better pins for the same topics that you're pinning for. They're going to edge you out. Same thing happens on Google, right? Same thing happens on YouTube. If we're going to talk search engines, somebody else is going to come along and create better content than what you have, and it's going to edge you out. So I wouldn't just bank on that old stuff. You have to add new pins to Pinterest so that it can crawl them, it can index them, and start showing them to people and start gathering data on who is this pin, who is this idea, who is this solution the best for? Like, what audience is this the best for? So one of the mistakes that I see is that people think, okay, well, if I'm going to stay on Pinterest, I've got to be on there for hours and hours and hours and hours. You don't have to. So I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. And then I'm going to give you a roadmap here at the end that you can use. So first, you're going to want to create optimized pins for content people are searching for. Okay. Don't create pins for content no one's searching for. You've got to do the research to find out what people are actually looking for. Then you're going to pin those pins to relevant boards. And those boards need to be optimized as well. And so you don't want to just take a pin and say, oh, I'm going to put it on the best of bloggers board, right? Or I'm just going to put this on like Jennifer's blogs board. That's not relevant to what it is. If it's a pin about tacos, it could go on Jennifer's blog board. If it's a pin about how to make paper flowers, it could go on Jennifer's blog board. Like that doesn't tell Pinterest any information about the pin, putting it on one of those catch-all type boards. So it needs to be a relevant board that you're going to pin it to. Next, you need to keep your content updated. Like don't just phone it in and be like, well, I wrote this blog post 6 years ago and it's still giving me traffic. You gotta update it because your competition is coming in, new people are coming in and they're creating content and it's going to be better than yours. And you guys, I have posts from 2014. Like I think that's probably my oldest one that's ranking right now is 2014. And I've had to update that thing a lot of times because other people come in and now their pins are up at the top. Now they're up at the top of Google and I've got to compete with them. So always keep the content updated. And then the fourth thing is set up a way on your site to continue the conversation for the traffic you do get. Okay. Like this is the biggest thing is like, we're not doing enough to capture those people that are coming over. We've got to stop this idea of just like, we're just going to get one page view and done. If we really want to serve people, the best way to serve them is to continue the conversation with them. And we've got to find a way to do that. That could be email, right? It could be getting a lead magnet and having them sign up on your email list. Do more with the traffic that you are getting so that you have more of an ROI from the effort that you're putting in. I also want to say, like, you don't need a VA to do this, right? I get people who message me all the time. Can I hire you to do my Pinterest stuff? Do you know a VA I can hire, right? My budget's $25. Like you don't need a VA to do this. You don't need ads. Okay. You don't need ads on Pinterest. I've built my whole thing totally organically all these years, you guys, it still works. I'm doing things a little differently, and this is what I teach inside my program Smart Pin Pro, but you still can get organic traffic on Pinterest. Like, it's totally possible. And you don't need a get rich quick scheme either. Like, if people are promising you like, I'm going to get you so much traffic in 30 days or whatever, or I'm going to get you so many impressions in 30 days, like, that's not important. What we need is a really solid strategy. Okay. You need a solid practical strategy to follow. You can do this yourself, or you can have someone on your team do it, but you don't need to go hire like a special Pinterest VA to do this for you. Building an organic traffic machine with Pinterest will get you traffic for years. For years. You can invest in Instagram, and I'm not saying don't invest in Instagram or TikTok, but if we compare the other platforms for who's going to send you traffic, like, you get so much more ROI from Pinterest than you would from other platforms if you're talking about putting links on there and that kind of thing. Okay, and that's what all these old pins are telling us, okay? The fact that old pins perform is telling us that Pinterest is there to give us traffic for years. If we create really great content that people are looking for, we've optimized it and we've pinned it, and Pinterest starts showing it to people and they're responsive, they will continue to show it to people for a long, long time, right? You do that on Instagram, and Instagram's going to show it to people for like a few days, right? It's just not going to keep going forever and ever and ever. So if you are ready to change what you're doing on Pinterest, if you're ready to stop like waffling, or you're like, okay, I've got the traffic that I have from Pinterest, I'm ready to do more with this, I'm ready to build an organic traffic machine, then get my free roadmap. It's over here at smartpin.pro/map. I should probably put this on the there it is. I'll show it on the screen right there for you. So you can just go there and you can get my roadmap. You'll get some emails from me, and then you'll get invited to my masterclass where I make an offer for you to join my program Smart Pin Pro. If you want to skip all of that, you're absolutely welcome to message me. You can just go to smartcreativesocial.com and you can send us an email, or you can go to us on Facebook and you can send us a message and I'll respond to you. So I hope that you guys grab that map. If you stopped using Pinterest, yes, your traffic would totally drop over time, and you would miss out on building anything new moving forward. You'd miss out on any momentum forward. So that's the short answer to that question. I just spent this whole video doing the long answer, and I hope that that's helpful for you guys, because I know this is something that is top of mind for a lot of people, is thinking about like, okay, I only have 24 hours in a day. What should I put my effort towards? Massive ROI for Pinterest when you compare to the other social platforms for how much you have to invest. It only takes a few hours to put some pins on there and have them be optimized and have them start working for you so they can become old pins that are sending you traffic. All right, thanks you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome evening.